What I should have said at the very beginning is that let me explain a little bit about what we're doing here. So I asked you earlier if you knew at least one person that you thought was an idiot. So does everybody have somebody in mind? Think of somebody you think is an idiot. Okay, now we're ready to move to the heart of the matter, the highly serious question. How is it possible to be an idiot? How is it possible to be an idiot? It's possible to be an idiot because people are sick, broken, dangerous, incompetent, stupid, mean, spiteful, vindictive, crazy, dangerous, all sorts of reasons why it's possible to be an idiot. Now then, but when we look at this a little more carefully, we find out that the reason we think these people are idiots is they may be all of those things, but basically because they think differently than we do. They look at the world differently than we do. They have a different model of the world than we do. Now then, the interesting thing is, I'll let you in on a little secret. They think that you're the one that's the idiot. They think that you're an idiot. Imagine, you think they're an idiot, they think you're an idiot. So, what is the lesson to be learned? The lesson to be learned is everyone's an idiot. There's just different kinds of idiots. And so when I wrote the book, People, Pattern, Power, with my wife, then I wanted to call it The Science of Idiots. And I was mistold by a publisher, you can't do that, nobody will buy it. And I said, I don't know. My byline was going to be, if you have a friend that's an idiot, buy them this book. And I thought that it would sell a lot of books, for crying out loud. But they said, no, you can't do that. So this is the science of idiots. And the important things to understand is everyone's an idiot to someone else. They're just different kinds of idiots. So you need to know what kind of idiot you are. You need to know what kind of idiot you're dealing with. And once you know those two key factors, then you can begin to communicate. But if you don't realize you're an idiot and you don't realize there are different kinds of idiots, then you actually get falling. And the only real idiot is the person that doesn't understand that there are different kinds of idiots. They're the real idiot. They're the one you really got to worry about because they think that they're right and that everybody else is wrong, that their model of the world is correct. And I've studied this a long time, and I realize that, basically, as close as I can tell, my model of the world is probably as close to being correct as you can find, but that there are parts at times in which I even may be an idiot. So this is the science of idiots. So you need to learn what kind of idiot you are, what kind of idiot you're dealing with, and then communication, you see. Because this is the whole problem, you see. If you're an idiot and you're behaving in a certain way, so I go, why are you doing this? And immediately I think you're being mean, spiteful, vindictive. You've been put here to make my life miserable, and you're doing a damn good job of it. So this is the way we frequently look at things. So you see, under those circumstances, how can you have any Christian charity or any love or compassion for somebody else who you believe is mean, spiteful, vindictive, and sole purpose in life is to make your life miserable? You can't. But if, on the other hand, you realize, okay, that from their perspective, you may be the one that's mean, spiteful, and vindictive, and that they're just a different kind of idiot, and their goal is not really to make your life miserable. Stop taking it personally. That's simply the way the world is. And if you want to relate to these people, then you've got to figure out then how to understand them and how to communicate with them. And once you do that, then we can have more Christian charity. We can have more love in the world. You see, God, who is a clever devil, tried to figure out what is the best way that he could create things so there would be a constant need for his priest and other patrolmen in order to try to help people. And he thought, I'll make them as different as possible, and then they will blame each other, and they'll fight with each other, and then there will always be conflict, and there'll always be a need for someone to resolve the conflict. So we need to shortcut the matter. We need to figure out a way to eliminate this belief that everybody's mean, spiteful, and vindictive, and then understand they're just different, and then start relating to them in a different way. So that's what the science of idiots is all about. How many people want to be and learn the science of idiots? Okay, anybody who doesn't, raise your hand. Okay, you're the only real true idiots in the... Okay then, so let's move on here. So what happened is we started off and we needed to then get everything involved, and we needed to get things going. And so then the next thing we needed to do was sort everything out. And then the next thing we need to do is kick in, because we're getting ready to move out. So when we kick in then, now once we've taken in data from the world, once we've assimilated that data, once we've made decisions, now we need to move into action. So what is the bridge between decision and action? The bridge between decision and action is motivation. So I'm going to teach you about motivation. I'm going to teach you, we don't know a lot, but we know more than anybody else. So you all are going to be part of the cognoscenti, those that understand what motivation is really about. Now, in many cases, you understood it. It's just you don't want to accept it. So you were trained in childhood that certain things were not good, and you've continued with this challenge. So, okay, it boils down to this. How do you get your kids to clean up their room? How do you get somebody to do something inherently unpleasant? And there's a lot of stuff written on this, but when it comes to brass tacks, that's all there is two things: carrots and sticks. Now, the eminent Mr. Pagan, who is the expert on studying animal behavior, and was talking early about donkey smuggling. Now, there's interesting things about a donkey. Another term for a donkey is a jackass. So how do you train a donkey, or you train a jackass? So you want to hook the donkey up to a wagon so he can drag the wagon, and you're in the wagon, so you don't have to walk. The donkey's going to pull you. So how do you get him to keep walking forward? So there's true traditional ways to train the donkey. So the first thing you do is donkeys like carrots. So you take a long stick and you put a rope on it, and you have a carrot tied to the end of it. And you hold that right in front of the donkey's nose. So the donkey sees the carrot here. Oh, carrot, good. And he keeps stepping forward, wanting to eat the carrot. So that's the first method of training the donkey. It's called the carrot method. The second is the donkey doesn't like to be beaten on his rear end. So you take a stick and you whack the donkey on the rear end, and the donkey moves forward to get away from whatever is beating it on the rear end. So this is called sticks. Now, the eminent Mr. Pagan pointed out to me that human beings were not that different, that the human chimp was actually fairly similar to donkeys, not just in donkey smuggling, but in the way that they motivate themselves. So there's two ways to motivate: carrots and sticks. People that are motivated by carrots are what we call move toward. People are motivated by sticks are what we call move away from. So there's only two ways to get people to do things: bribe them with something they want, or threaten them with something they don't want. This is the way you get your kids to clean up the room. You either bribe them by giving them money or an allowance or something they want, or you punish them because if they don't clean it up, then they're going to have something they don't want. So, motivation is the science of carrots and sticks. It's figuring out two things: whether to use carrots or sticks, and which carrots or sticks to use, which we'll get to in a minute. So, are you going to use carrots or are you going to use sticks? People that move toward respond to carrots. They want to get things. They want to achieve. They want to accomplish. They want something. People that move away from respond to sticks. They do things because they want to avoid certain things. Now, we were talking about earlier about the guy up there and how he set things up in the beginning, and how clever, when you really look at the meta perspective, that brilliant it was in setting up all of these things. And so he created the thing. So he said, well, we need an ultimate carrot that everybody's going to want. So we'll call it heaven, we'll call it paradise, and we promise if you live a certain way, then you get the ultimate carrot. But he realized not everybody was going to respond to that. So he thought there's the other half of the world out there. How do we get them too? Oh, yes, we got to have that other place. And the other place has to be sufficiently unpleasant that we will do whatever we can to avoid it. And so therefore, then we either describe the glory of heaven or we describe the fires of hell. And for a lot of people, the glory of heaven is not going to get them motivated, but preach hellfire and damnation, as every Southern preacher knows, then you begin to get people motivated because they really don't want to go to that place. So, the science of carrots and sticks. So, this is the challenge of motivation in the workforce. The challenge of motivation in the workforce. So first is, you've got four kinds of people. You got people that are moved toward strongly, but they haven't got what they want. So they keep moving in order to get there. They're never satisfied. They've got high aspirations, and no matter what they get, they want more. So they keep going. These are the super motivated of the world. In between, there are the people that want something, but have got what they want. So there's no reason to go any further. I got what I want. I'm satisfied with what I have, so I'll just stay right here. And then you've got the people then on the other extreme that are moving away from, but they have low aspirations also, so they've ended up avoiding those things they want to avoid. It's like it's a job, it may not be great, but it pays me the wages, and I'm not going to lose it, so I don't need to worry, so I'll just keep doing it, even though there's no great joy or anything in it, because I'm avoiding and have succeeded in avoiding. Now, the last group are the people that I'm running away from poverty, and I'm avoiding these things, and I'm convinced that the boogeyman's right behind me, and I'm afraid to look back because he's going to grab me, so I started running, and I'm going to keep running, and these are highly motivated people. So the highly motivated are the extremes. The problem is what's in the middle, which is satisfied. So the general problem is people have low aspirations. So what do? You got to keep upping the ante. You got to keep upping the ante. So when you start bribing your kids, after a while you got to increase the bribe, or you got to increase the punishment. Now then, the problem is you got to know who you're dealing with. So if the person moves toward and you're punishing them, it doesn't motivate them, it just makes them mad, and they wait for their chance to get even. On the other hand, if they're moving away from, then bribing them doesn't accomplish anything. It doesn't get them motivated. They may simply take the bribe, but they're not going to have any effect as far as motivating them. So therefore, you need sticks. And as I've said, carrots people don't like to beat people with sticks, and sticks people don't like to give people carrots. Now, I also said most people think that they are all carrots. So this is another one of those things, that cultural bias that we all think I'm toward, whereas half of the time half of us are moved away from. So let me ask you the question, how did you manage to get out of bed this morning? How did you manage to get out of bed this morning? So there are a couple of strategies for getting out of bed. You woke up and you went, it's morning. What am I going to do today? Oh, I'm going to go to the seminar. God, I'm going to get to learn from Eben and Wyatt. God, that's incredible. Oh, I can't wait. And then you get this vision, this picture. You start talking to yourself in a pleasant tone of voice, and you can't wait to jump out of bed in order to get here. Now, in looking around, I noticed that didn't seem to be the strategy that all of you used. So there's another strategy. Oh, it's morning. It feels so good to lay here. It's morning. What'll happen if I don't get up? If I don't get up, I'll miss the seminar. I'll be late. They won't give me my money back. My boss will be upset. My friends will be upset. And you keep making worse and worse pictures of the things that are going to happen. And the cat will run away. No, not the cat. And so when the picture gets bad enough or the tonality gets bad enough, you figure it's better to get out of bed and go ahead and face it than to lay there and to make all these horrible pictures and to be talking to yourself in bad tonality. So at a certain point, you get out of bed and then you begin to move, and once one step is forward and then the next step, and you just keep going. So you've learned to then go through the process. You've done it enough times. But what got you up? Were you drawn out of bed? I remember when I used to do NLP exercises, they said, come up with something you could do that you want to do, you're not doing. And I thought, I would like to one day in my life wake up and feel totally energized and explode out of bed because I was so excited to go engage in what was going to happen. And they said, has this ever happened to you? And I said, I don't think so. And then they said, and this is the part I didn't like, they said, well, you can't have it because it would be bad for you. And I went, what do you mean bad for me? I get to decide what's good and bad for me, not you. No, it would be unecological. What would be unecological about it? So anyway, we would have these discussions. So how do you motivate yourself to get out of bed in the morning? How do you motivate yourself to go to work? How do you motivate yourself to do your job? Now, the secret of motivation, it's not hard to motivate yourself to do something pleasant. The problem is, how do you motivate yourself to do something that's unpleasant? That's the key. And so one secret of motivation is focus on the completion of the task and the reward or punishment, as opposed to focusing on doing the task. If you're focusing on doing something inherently unpleasant, that's demotivating, it's not motivating. So don't focus on the task, focus on the results. Keep your eyes on that. Okay, we're halfway there as far as motivation goes. So, are you a carrot person or are you a stick person? Are you a carrot person or are you a stick person? This is what we call motivation. Now, the next piece of the puzzle is that not everybody responds to the same carrots and not everybody responds to the same sticks. So David McClellan, the Harvard psychologist, who's generally regarded as the leading expert in the world on motivation, he wrote more books on it more cogently than anybody else. And he said there are three basic motives that people operate out of: power, affiliation, and achievement. Power, affiliation, and achievement. So what do power people want? They want control. When I say jump, I don't want to hear when or where. I want to hear how high while you're in the air. So power people want control. It's all about control, getting more control. It's about dominance. It's about obedience, getting people to do what you want them to do. Now then, what do affiliation people want? They want to be liked. They want people to live in harmony. They want to be liked. They want people to care about them. They want people to like them. This is what life is all about. It's about being liked. It's about being sociable. It's about getting the vibes you get when people like you. It's ideally about being admired and being popular. That's what it's about. And then what do the achievement people want? They want success. They want accomplishment. They want achievement. They want to get things done. So these are the three big motives, and everything in life basically revolves around these. So you got one of these as primary, and you've got one of these as secondary. So when you meet people, so let's say I'm meeting somebody for the first time. So if I walk halfway toward them and stop, then if they're an affiliation person, then they're going to come up and shake hands with me. The way they shake hands will tell me several things about them. So, first, if they grab my hand strongly and squeeze my hand while they're looking at me, so it becomes an immediate question of dominance and submission, so they're sizing me up to see whether they're going to control the interaction or not. Or are they then giving a very professional, matter-of-fact handshake as if, okay, let's get this over with so we can get on to doing what we need to do together to accomplish and achieve something? Or are they going to give you a very lingering handshake and perhaps a hug and perhaps a kiss on the cheek? And is this going to go on and on and on? And you're not sure when to cut it off. So you can begin to recognize, very matter of fact, by how people shake hands with you as to where they're coming from. If I tell you to do an exercise, then immediately you're going to get three kinds of behavior. The control person is going to go, you sit here, you sit here, you sit here, I'll go first, you go next, and they're going to start giving orders and giving directions. The achievement person will go, we've only got a half hour to do this, so we better get started and we better switch because we got to keep on track. So they're going to be monitoring everything, focused on the outcome. And the affiliation person, they're there to socialize. So they don't care whether you ever do the exercise. What they care about is the opportunity to share and socialize and communicate and feel good about the other people that they're in the group with. That's what it's all about. Why do people come to trainings? So why do people come to this seminar? Why do people come to different seminars? It was interesting in trying to market NLP, so in neurolinguistic programming. So there are like three approaches. So most of the people, and particularly we are in California. And in California, there's this disease called Californification. And the way the disease operates is that you want to hug everyone in the world and express your... So that the people then come because it's an opportunity to meet other interesting people, to hang out, to socialize, to communicate. There needs to be exercises where you can socialize. There need to be opportunities during the breaks, before and after. It's all about socialization. So that's why you come. Other people come then because they want a new technology of achievement. They want tools that will help them to succeed in life, that'll help them to get ahead, that'll help them to be able to do things. And then the third group, which probably may be less in attendance at this seminar, are the power people. And what do the power people want? They want more control over their life, and they want more control over other people. And they're here because they want to learn techniques that will allow them to be more powerful, more controlling, in order to have greater impact and greater influence. And that's why they're here. So you know who you are, and you're all out there. So how do you motivate people? Oh yeah, I realize there's a piece of this I left out. So far I've been talking about people moving toward power, affiliation, and achievement. But there's a flip side to that. So people are moving away from. So what do the move away from power people want? I don't have to control you, but I'll be damned if you're going to control me. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. I don't want anybody bossing me around. I don't want anybody controlling me. And I will fight like hell to make sure that doesn't happen. So what are the move away from affiliation people? I don't want to be unpopular. I don't want to be unliked. There's nothing worse than people not liking you, than not being popular, being a loser. That's the worst thing imaginable. And what are the move away from achievement people? What are they moving away from? They're moving away from failure. There's nothing worse than failure. Failure is unacceptable. It's intolerable. So I cannot afford to fail at all. I've got to avoid failure at all costs. Now then, I was talking about my wife and I working with the Olympic athletes, and working with the divers, there's three kinds of divers. There's three kinds of divers. There is the power divers, which is about control and winning. There is the affiliation divers, which is about popularity. And there's the achievement divers, which is about meeting a goal. So let's take then, when we put toward and away from power, affiliation, achievement, we get 6 things, which I call the 6 sermons, which are going to be the keys in order to motivate people. So let's take the power diver, the power athlete. There's no greater thrill in life than to stand on the winner's platform and to look down at the faces of those that you have beaten that you have defeated, that you have vanquished. And to see that look of dismay on their face as they are where they appropriately belong, at your feet. And you get an incredible feeling of power and control and strength and domination, knowing that your superior will to win, your superior spirit allowed you to beat them and vanquish them. And you want to beat them so bad that they never, ever dare to challenge you again. Now then, these people are hard to beat because they get pumped up. They're going on adrenaline. They're going on emotion. They've got a sheer will to win, and nothing can stop them. Now then, so the flip side of this is there's nothing worse in life, nothing more ignominious, nothing more degrading than to look up at the face of that smug, pompous bastard and to realize you let them beat you, you let them defeat you. How degrading, how humiliating. And you swear you'll do whatever it takes to wipe that smirk off their face and to never, ever allow them to beat you or defeat you again, because losing is intolerable. Okay, and then there's the achievement divers. The achievement divers win because that they do harder dives than anybody else. They've got a higher level of ability, and they perfect more difficult moves. So they win frequently on degree of difficulty, because in a dive, you've got a degree of difficulty multiplied by the score. So they do dives of higher degree of difficulty. They're more skillful. They practice more. Now for them, what is winning about? What is winning about? Winning is about setting a goal and achieving your goal. You may finish dead last in the competition, but if you meet your goal, you won. Because what winning is about is competing not with other people, but competing with yourself. It's about setting a goal and just working long and hard and doing the necessary preparation so you're going to achieve and accomplishing that goal. And when you're done and you've accomplished your goal, then you can reach over and pat yourself on the back and have this incredible feeling of satisfaction that you did what you set out to do. You accomplished your goal. Where you are in the standings is irrelevant. It's where you are, and the only standing that accounts is whether you achieve your goal or not and how much you exceeded your goal. That's what things are all about. So to do that, you got to work hard, you got to train hard, you got to get better and better and better. And the better you are, then you can raise your aspirations and have higher goals. But that's what life is all about. It's about achieving your outcome, your goal. Now then, the flip side, there's nothing worse than failure, because you got nobody to blame but yourself. You didn't try hard enough. You didn't work hard enough. You didn't do what you needed to achieve or accomplish your goals. You failed to meet your goal, and failure is absolutely unacceptable. It's the worst thing in life, and all you can do is promise to yourself that never again are you going to allow that to happen. And you'll do whatever it takes to avoid failure at all cost. Okay, so most of the athletes are either power athletes or they are achievement athletes. And they win either by a sheer will to win, or they win because they've got better technique than anybody else. But there is a third kind of athlete, which is the most rare. There's no greater thrill than to stand on the diving platform and to launch your body out into space and to spin 3.5 times in the air and to rip the water absolutely vertical with no splash. And before you come back to the surface, you begin to hear the greatest sound any human being can hear. And as you break the surface to a thunderous round of applause, and you realize you have brought joy to the hearts of your fans, because after all, what is life about? It's pleasing other people. It's making them happy. And as you sit there and bask in that admiration, bask in that applause, then you take in all these incredible feelings. And that glow, that's what life is all about. Now then, there's the flip side, of course. Fans are so fickle. They cheered for you, but they cheered more for her. They liked your performance, but they liked her performance better. Everybody's over-congratulating her. Nobody's congratulating you. Nobody cares about you. Nobody likes you. Your mother won't even talk to you on the phone. You go home and the cat looks at you once and jumps out the window and runs away. Nobody wants to be around you. Nobody wants to have anything to do with you. It's so horrible. It's so terrible. All you want to do is just go somewhere and just cry and cry. It's horrible. So you've got these 6 different motivations. Now in every area of life, this applies. So you got one of these, which is your primary motivation. You got one maybe secondary. And some of these people you really intensely dislike because they're so different from you, and the way they motivate themselves is so different than the way you motivate yourself, that you really don't want anything to do with these people, and you really don't enjoy being around them, and you certainly don't enjoy being forced into any kind of competition with you. Because at one extreme, they're totally cutthroat, and they'll do whatever it takes to beat you or to win. And particularly if you're moving away from, then that can be very upsetting. So you need to know where you're coming from. You need to know where you're coming from. Are you coming out of power, affiliation, or achievement? And are you coming out of toward or away from? I call these the 6 sermons. So no matter what you're doing, you got to motivate yourself. You got to motivate other people. How do you motivate yourself? First, you got to figure out where you're coming from. Do you want more control? Then you got to motivate yourself by envisioning the control you're going to gain. Do you moving away from powerlessness and control? Then imagine somebody else controlling you and how horrible that is and what you'll do in order to avoid that. So you're either doing things to achieve something or to avoid. And you're either achieving or avoiding power, affiliation, or achievement. These are what we call the 6 sermons. Okay, we've talked about 3 sets of patterns. We talked about the first thing we needed to do was to take in information. The next thing we had to do was sort it out. The next thing is we needed to move out. We needed to motivate ourselves. We needed to engage. We needed to kick in. And now the last thing is, now that we've made a decision, now that we've motivated ourselves, now we need to go into action. And when we go into action then, that there are 2 patterns also that are going to be important when we go into action. First, then, and we've kind of done this in several contexts, so ask the person why they chose to come to this seminar. Wording important. Why did you choose to come to this seminar? Write down why you chose to come to this seminar. Write down why you chose. And then once you've written why you chose, then share that for 30 seconds with somebody else. So why did you choose to come to this seminar?